Hi, my name is Elodie Novodatsky, and I am your host for this podcast about self-publishing and writing. For the past couple of years, I talked about the ups and downs of self-publishing, and I will continue to do so. But I'm also starting a new series, which I am aiming to have a new episode releasing every first Monday of the month. It's going to be about my personal experience of balancing or not balancing chemotherapy and creativity, knowing that chemotherapy in this case is actually it's also immunotherapy, it's radiation, it's biopsies, it's the watch and wait. I was a specialist of the watch and wait. I've been in remission for 5 years from refractory Hodgkin's lymphoma. Not every person, I think, has necessarily the same experience with cancer and cancer treatment and creativity, how people are able to continue writing or not, to self-publish or not. So why am I starting this? When I was thinking about what I could only write, like me, Elodie Novodatsky, it wasn't a guide on how to be a 7-figure author. Don't get me wrong, I think I'll get there. Currently a low mid 5-figure author, and writing and self-publishing has been helpful to me in more ways than one, before cancer treatments, during cancer treatments, and after cancer treatments. And while I cannot give you the secrets of becoming a 7-figure author, I can definitely tell you about the joys of neuropathy. By the way, I don't think there is any secret about becoming a 7-figure author. I think it's a lot of work, a lot of luck, a lot of work, some luck. I don't know if it's a lot of luck, but definitely a lot of work, because I'm who says Loki is in charge of the market. Like, you need to hit the right book at the right time and the right books at the right time. And it's an entire business. And I have a lot of thoughts about this, but this is not the point of this episode. So I can definitely tell you about the joys of neuropathy, or your hands sometimes cramp up and you get more tired than you used to. Or menopause decides to strike when you're 38 because of the stem cell transplant that saves your life. And yes, I talk about menopause because this is something that was a big part of my cancer treatments and has affected a lot of things about my writing and self-publishing, and just because it has an impact on your life. And it doesn't have to be, not everybody, and that's the same thing here, not everybody has the same experience. So what I'm going to be talking about is my own experience with things. It's not everybody's experience. Not everybody has the same experience. And I feel like I wish I could repeat this again and again, because what I really don't want is anybody listening to this and getting scared, which was one of the reasons why I didn't start talking about it before. Because if you're currently undergoing cancer treatments, I'll try to be as helpful as I can with what I share when it comes to creativity and cancer treatments and all that. Or if you know somebody who's been or who's currently going through it. What I want to say though is that if that creates anxiety for you, you feel your heart, I don't know, go a little bit faster, or your hands get clammy and you're thinking like, oh, I don't want, then stop listening. Just stop listening to me. Go find something that makes you happy, that makes you smile. And if that's not my podcast for this particular episode, then don't listen. You need to know whether or not that anxiety that you're going to be feeling is going to be like propelling you to do something helpful for yourself, do more research about something, have an action plan, something, or not. So if it only helps one person, like if you're that one person listening to me right now, you matter, and that your experience matters. And I'm so sorry you're going through this, because it sucks. That I wish you only the very, very best. When the episode releases, I will be 5. It's going to be my 5th second birthday. That's what we talk about for a transplant, a stem cell transplant. Mine was an autologous stem cell transplant when I got my own cells back. The day you receive your cells back, it's your 2nd birthday. So happy birthday to me. During this particular series, I will also hopefully give some helpful information about what I brought during chemo, how did chemo brain and treatment affected my writing, and, little tips about immunotherapy, what I've learned from my nurses, things like that. And then I'll talk about how I got back into writing, because for a while it was hard. My therapist told me once that it's like you're in a pond, and when everyone around you never acknowledges that, yes, it sucks, it can get very, very lonely. Even if you're surrounded by people who are very positive and uplifting and everything, And I'm not saying don't be positive and don't be uplifted. I am a positive person. I try to see the best in different situations. For that particular one, it was hard. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not saying to not hold on to the happy moments and the social support that you have, and to not hold on to the hope. Hope got me going once I switched hospitals and care. So for those of you who do not know me, hi, I'm Elodie Novodatsky, and I'm a self-published author who had cancer. As I said, I'm currently in remission. I'm not going through treatment right now. I had treatment from 2017 to 2020 for refractory Hodgkin's lymphoma. I currently still have 6-month visit with the team I credit for saving my life at the University of Maryland Greenbaum Comprehensive Cancer Center with Dr. Rappaport. A few days before those visits, I get more stressed, and let's just say that writing can become a tad more difficult. My latest blood results are great. My physical exam still shows a small movable lymph node that has already been biopsied, full-on biopsy. We don't really do fine needle for Hodgkin's lymphoma. I have a story to tell you about that, like actually a longer story. I'll keep you with a short one, but the surgeon disappeared right before the surgery. They found him, so no need for a podcast on the subject, and the biopsy was benign. I did a happy dance when I got diagnosed. Yes, really. It's sometimes hard to remember or imagine that, when I was at the Baltimore Book Festival, it was September, and I got diagnosed about a month later. But at the time, I had a very bad backache. I remember walking with my friend Riley Edgewood, and we were going for dinner after, I think it was on Saturday evening. And I was on panels with Bridget Kemmerer and Pinted Dunn and Leah Nolan and Alexa Jacobs. And I think I did like maybe 2 panels on that day. There are pictures of me smiling and just... It was such a good day. My back again my backache was really, really bad. I thought maybe I carried my bag the wrong way. Maybe I've been having anyways those backaches for a bit. I just published the second book in my Gathered CD series. It's called See Me, See Me Not, if you want to check it out. And I have a cough that just won't quit. The kind of cough where I yell to myself in the car on my way to go teach. I used to be a teacher, an adjunct faculty at Howard Community College. And I yell to myself in the car. I still remember that. Whatever this is, I'll be okay, more than once, because that cough had been lingering for a month. And I had already seen the doctor, who mentioned like it was probably a summer flu. I was just not feeling great. I was more tired, and I think I had like a few dizzy spells a little bit. And the doctor who had said I had a summer flu in August. Well, it was not the same doctor that I had seen in December 2016 or January 2017, because I had been having stabbing pains in my upper back and my arm whenever I was drinking alcohol, mainly red wine. And I had gone to the doctor and I had mentioned that because I had read, of course I did, I had Googled it, and he had said that it could be symptoms of Hodgkin's lymphoma. I had health anxiety. That doctor had basically told me that it was probably anxiety or poor muscles, like maybe I didn't have like a good posture, which fair, I did not. Also that I didn't have a lot of muscles that, in my arms and back, which fair. I also didn't. I mentioned, if you're really that worried, we can do a blood test. We should just do... Actually, no. He said, well, you should also just do, the annual blood test. And I did not do the blood test, which I beat myself up for it after. But at the same time, at that moment, it probably wouldn't have shown anything in the blood test, because blood tests for Hodgkin's lymphoma may not necessarily, if it's at the beginning, may not necessarily show anything in the blood test. You should still do your blood test if your doctor tells you to do your blood test, of course. But yeah, I did not. And because I was told that it was mainly probably poor posture and anxiety, and again, as I've mentioned, I have health anxiety, I was kind of like, okay, well then that's what it is. And I started going to doing physical therapy to get more muscles in my back. And I got some massage as well to try to help, because the pain was getting worse. And then I got the Hodgkin's itch, which is basically you just itch. Like my legs were very itchy, and I went to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist said I had dermatitis, which fair. I probably did too. So those were some of the symptoms that I had over a course of, I want to say, well, about like 9-10 months before I got diagnosed. When I went back to the doctor in August, the fact that it was a different doctor in the practice I went to probably did not help, because I had lost a lot of weight and I had not necessarily realized it, because I was not, I mean, yes, I had to buy a new pair of jeans, but I did not weigh myself. So I did not realize how much weight I had lost. However, at the doctor, they could have seen, because there was a lot of, I had lost, I think, 10% of my body weight or 15% of my body weight, which is quite a lot. Again, was told, oh, don't worry, it's a summer flu, even though it was going on and going on and going on. And then I ended up going back to the doctor end of September. I almost passed out teaching. I remember that too. Twice, actually. I almost passed out twice during teaching. When I went then to the doctor, my primary care physician, I had a bump on my chest and I was convinced I had breast cancer or something else that was happening, cancer related mostly. And when I went, he made me go for an x-ray. The x-ray showed a very big mass. So I was sent right away for a CAT scan. And the CAT scan, then the doctor was like super helpful, super efficient, very kind. The CT scan showed, well, something that's really big. And in my notes, I wrote big and not romance novel big, lymph nodes that were also bigger than what they should be. And the differentials on that CAT scans were scary. Scarier than the scary movie Scary. The secondly scary one was Hodgkin's lymphoma, because the other super, super duper duper scary one had a very low prognosis. Talking about prognosis rates, percentage and things. First of all, when you're looking at things on the Cancer Society or wherever you're looking at remission rates or survival rates or things like that, you got to think that those things are old by the time they make it. And by old, I mean a few years in cancer treatments can change everything. They have so many new medicine that are coming out. They have so many new things that can also sometimes make it more of a chronic disease. A doctor told me that statistics only matter if you end up on the right side of them. I found that helpful when I was looking at treatment options. When it comes to Hodgkin's lymphoma, it's very treatable, and it's also very treatable with just first-line treatments. I had, if you count my treatments, I had first line, kind of second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line. And then if you count, I had immunotherapy again after stem cell transplants for consolidation. So it's kind of like five and a half line of treatment. The treatments I had were not available to people years ago, and I'm still here to talk about it. So when I got that CAT scan result, I was walking Plato the dog, and I remember my PCP called me and he told me about, that the results were not, he didn't know what they were, because you need a biopsy to know what it is, and that he was going to try to get me on an appointment for a biopsy and to not hesitate to contact him if I needed more help. Because guess what? No appointments for a biopsy in sight. I need to wait. I think at the beginning it was 3 weeks for a visit for a biopsy at Johns Hopkins. One of the few friends who knew what was happening even reached out to one of her friends to try to get me an appointment in Virginia. If you're reading this or listening to this, Sarah, thank you again so much. My primary care physician was also calling different places, because at this stage we knew that there was something. As I mentioned, I was not doing great. At that stage, I was not eating as well. I noticed that my appetite was really going down. I was more tired. It was not a great time. And the surgeon at Johns Hopkins actually moved me up. So it was the first time of many times that I actually cried on the phone due to stress. And by crying on the phone, I mean not just on the phone with one of my friends or my family, or I meant with a health professional or my medical insurance, and both of them. So that surgeon moved me up because he read my scan, and then his joke when he saw me was, well, you're still alive. It was funny. Then he forbade me to sleep laying down, because he still wanted me to keep breathing, which I was on the same team. I was on team, yes, let's keep me breathing. still am on the same team. He was worried about the way my tumor was squeezing one of my veins and also that my trachea could possibly collapse. Fun times. During the biopsy, I wasn't fully sedated. Same issue. They kind of didn't want me to be like, they wanted me to still be able to breathe. So I was kind of woo sedated. But I heard him mention, and my husband will tell you, are you sure you heard that? I remember hearing the surgeon mention to one of the students, because Johns Hopkins is a teaching hospital, right? So the surgeon is there with students. I heard him mentioning to one of the students that it looked like Hodgkin. And I think it's maybe because of the inflammation, because he did the biopsy. It was not really a mediastinoscope. He actually did the biopsy around the tumor that was growing out of my chest. He tried to get from my lymph nodes. My arm was also very much hurting when I woke up because I poked into it to try to see if he could get something from the lymph node, but it didn't work. So he took from that side on my chest. I imagine him as, I don't know if that's the case with you, but sometimes my characters just don't listen to me. They just don't. So for my steamy rom-com Sweets for Love, I wanted those two characters to be one kind of golden retriever, sunshine, kind of a grumpy sunshine type of a book. Well, they ended up being grumpy, so it's a grumpy romance in a way. Maybe that's how the surgeon felt. He really wanted, and he had told me he was going to try. He was going to try to get a biopsy from underneath my arm because the lymph node there was pretty big. It was, I think, like 4 centimeters, and it was pretty thick. That's what she said, joke, but 4 centimeters. He had told me he was going to try to get the biopsy from there because I think it would have been easier now that I've had an axillary biopsy. Since then I had one in 2022 or 23. Well, it's not fun. The recovery from that I think was harder than the recovery from the biopsy that he did on the tumor that was protruding out of my chest. He tried, but the lymph node was just one of my characters that did not want to cooperate. It was just a very angry character, I guess. But so he did not confirm to my husband or to me before the biopsy results whether he thought that was Hodgkin's lymphoma, because he just could not say anything. I still stressed. Again, I was woozy, loopy, however you want to call it. So yeah, maybe I did kind of dream this. I don't know. So I stressed for several days until I got the official diagnosis. When I got the phone call, I actually did a happy dance because the alternatives sounded so much worse. You should have seen my dance moves. But there's one thing I want to say, because yes, I did a happy dance, but I think there were a lot of things at the time that I had not processed yet, because if I go back to the year 2017, throughout the year, I think I was gaining more momentum as an author. I had gone to the Roanoke Author Invasion event, which was so much fun. I had seen the translation of my books I published in English. The first books that I got translated were in German and French. You might hear the accent. I'm a French native speaker. My mother tongue is French. I'm fluent in German, but one publisher had contacted me. I am like a hybrid author, where some of my books are published with what we call traditional publisher. And I'm also self-published. In France, I am a hybrid author. Everywhere else, I am 100% a self-published author. But I had gone to France to visit my family, and I saw my books in bookstores. It was such a special time and moment, and feeling like I was getting more and more readers, and I felt like I was getting some momentum that year. And then it's like... When you write, you have moments where they have to face so many things and their lives change, and there is an inciting incident that sends them to the rest of their stories in a way. The rug that was the rug that I thought was stable and was getting me towards my goals. Well, it wasn't just pulled from under me, it disintegrated. So yes, I was very happy about that diagnosis, and I really was. I did do a happy dance. I think I remember calling my parents and my husband, telling them, those are good news. Like, this is good. It's Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's good. On top of it, Hodgkin's lymphoma is sometimes called the good cancer. Again, it depends on the statistics. Again, it has very good survival rates. It has very good cure rates, even with first-line treatment. As mentioned, I had more than one line of treatment. I had 5.5, but I am doing well right now. So, but I had this happy, yes, it's great. And then later and during, and even I also had this feeling of, oh shit, because I also didn't know what was going to happen. And in my mind, I was trying to like also make sure like, okay, I'm going to get chemo. Chemo is going to work. It's going to be hard, and but you also don't know. Looking back and in therapy afterwards, when you're looking at how your identity kind of changes a little bit, because at the time I was thinking that I was doing much better. Like I was starting to thrive in my author career. I was teaching at Howard Community College. I was a part-time adjunct faculty. I had my friends. I had my routine. I had things that I was looking forward to. I was thinking even about applying to different positions to maybe see like in case the writing, like it was just, and so you have this, oh, I'm so happy. And then also because you got the news you got cancer, which is also wild, right? Like, I mean, you just got the news you have cancer and you're like, oh, yay. And at the same time, you do have this switch that you're not fully aware of yet. And I think when I say, you know, I did a happy dance, I did. And I also had all those things brewing that I may not have been fully aware of. I hope this episode has made you smile. If you are currently going through treatment, know that I'm thinking about you and you matter, and I wish you only the very best. And if you are a caregiver, please know that what you're doing, my husband, he was with me at and I know not everybody can do that, but he was with me at all of my treatments except I think one or two at the end, because it was during COVID and he could not be there. But more than that, he really listened about what I needed and attended therapy with me when I was trying to find my best way to communicate during this time, because it's not easy necessarily. It was not easy for me to find out how to communicate my needs. It was not necessarily easy to even know what those were in terms of how I needed help or support, or to not be, you know, feeling lonely in that pond that I was talking about. And so know that as caregiver, you also need your own support system. So don't forget that. You're superheroes. You truly are. But you're superheroes who also need to take care of yourselves. I know I think my husband is a superhero. And so yeah, I just wanted to put that out there too. And before I go, if you're looking for a next book to read and you love paranormal and fantasy romance featuring twisty plots, plenty of spice, and a guaranteed happy ending, I don't know if you've already read Elizabeth Briggs' books, but she is, in her word, a New York Times and top 5 Amazon bestselling author of paranormal and fantasy romance. She's a stage 4 cancer warrior who has worked with teens in foster care and volunteered with animal rescue organization. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband, their daughter, and a pack of fluffy dogs. Liz is a friend of mine, and she is currently undergoing radiation for recurring colon cancer, stage 4, and she will be starting chemo after her radiation again. And so her books have, I mean, if you look at author page, you will see that she has more than 20,000 reviews. She has The Zodiac Wolves is one of her series, and the first book in the series is called Moon Touched. And that book's tagline is, "My fated mate rejected me, and now I've been captured by someone even worse." And that book is available on Kindle, Kindle Unlimited, audiobook, hardcover, paperback. When it comes to paperback and hardcovers, they're available on plenty of stores, including Barnes & Noble. And she also has a series that is called Claimed by Lucifer, with the first book being Demon King. And actually, I started watching the show Lucifer because she recommended it to me, and I loved it. If you love the show Lucifer, I think you will love Demon King. That's that series. And if you love Fated Mates, then don't hesitate to pick up her Moon Touch series. Again, it will not only help somebody who is going through cancer, but in addition, it's really just just a good book with a guaranteed HEA. Happily ever after. So again, if you like fantasy and paranormal romance with plenty of spice, then make sure you pick up one of her books. And if you have any questions for me about my treatments, about anything related to cancer, creativity, self-publishing, or just self-publishing, because I will also do more episodes about my ups and downs, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My email is author Elodie Nowodatsky. Nowodatsky is Nowod as dog, A as apple, Z as zebra, K as koala, I as Ireland, J as Jason, @gmail.com. Or you can also go to my website, www.elodienowodatsky.com. I will not spell it again. And again, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Let me try to remember my send-off for the podcast. I think it's to everyone out there, happy reading, and to all writers, no, that's the opposite. To all writers out there, happy writing, and to everyone, happy reading.